At this point, I think we should talk about the concept of whether a fare is fair. Is the fare fair? Is the fare that you pay for public transit fair to you as a rider of the transit system? And that is based on a couple of different things. As you all know, if it turns out that the fare is too high, then we're reluctant to use the buses or the trains or whatever. If the fare is too low, then perhaps what happens is that the municipality, the city, pays too high a subsidy for each rider. So the fare for riding the subway or the train or whatever is made up of generally 2 parts. One is the fare that you actually pay, and the other is the fare that the city or the province pays on your behalf as a citizen. Now, as citizens, let's also consider that there may be someone else who should pay the fare. Think of it this way. What is the biggest demand on our public transit systems, on our road systems, on our highways? Is it when we go to church? Is it when we go to school? Is it when we go to recreational activities? No, it isn't any of these things. The biggest cost that's incurred for our transit systems, our road systems, the infrastructure, is the commute to work. And the biggest part of that is rush hour. That's why I've called everything that I've done here the rush hour monster. And the approach that I'm asking you to consider is to slay the rush hour monster. Now, how do we do that? Let's consider the fare as a tool for reducing the cost of public transit. Now, the way that we can do that is think in terms of who is responsible for the cost. If the commute to work is when we have to pay the most for public transit, that's when the greatest demand is on public transit. The public transit systems that we have now can handle when we're traveling to church or to school or to shopping. What they can't handle is rush hour. And rush hour is caused when we go to work. So it's the relationship between workers and employers that causes this huge demand on the public to pay for an increasingly bigger and more complex transit system and road system. So rush hour causes the biggest cost. Now, what happens in rush hour? In rush hour, we have 2 parties. It's not the child going to school. It's not the person going to their church. It's not you going to the baseball game. There are 2 parties that stand to prosper from rush hour, from the commute to work. And those 2 parties are the worker and the employer. So there is an employment agreement between these 2 parties that enriches both of them. The worker gets more money, gets paid, and the employer makes money based on the wages, based on the labor and the ideas and the inspiration and the knowledge of the employee. So both of these parties profit from rush hour. And therefore, if we go back to the concept of whether a fare is fair, we should consider that there should be another party that's paying for the cost of transit. And that party is the employer. And I'm calling this the employer fare. So now, so what if if we expected the employer to pay $1 per day that a worker travels to work? Okay, just for the use of their workers to travel to work, to create wealth for the employer.